All right, so I hope that last little mini lesson, helped you out with dealing with negative emotions, dealing with negative thoughts, and dealing with negative moods. So there's a lot more there, but I hope that was able to get you down a successful path. If you are dealing with some negative emotions, make sure you seek out a therapist. It's not weak, it's a strength. Anytime you identify something and you find a tool, therapy being that tool that's going to help you live your best life, then you go ahead and do that. So today I want to talk about how to stay on this perfect path of constraint that I like to find myself on. So sometimes when I'm dealing with negativity, one of the things that I like to do is to remind myself of someone who is worse off than me. All right. So oftentimes, we all have our moments where we want to complain about our situation, but you know what? There are far, far more people that are worse off than we are. So I like to remind myself of that. It helps generate a sense of gratitude of where I am. So that's one constraint on one side. And the other side, I like to think of someone who's better off than me, because that is going to drive me forward as well. So I like to think of, someone who is, since I'm writing this book and that's consumed a lot of my time, I like to think of someone who has already written a book. In fact, I'll pick up a book. I'm thinking of one I have got a bunch on my shelf behind me, but I don't have one at the moment. But I'll think of another author's book and I'll read and I'll say, man, you know what? That author wrote a good book. And I try to let that propel me. So when I'm wedged between someone that I'm better off at. So in the book context, I can think about someone who hasn't written the book. In fact, there's one of my colleagues, Sandra McGuire. Some of you may know her. She's published a book that I encourage you to get called Teaching Students How to Learn and Teaching Yourself How to Learn. She and I was talking with her about this at one point, about how I feel like I'm 43, I believe. And I feel like I should have written my book 10 years ago, because I've been speaking on the topic. I've been presenting on it, getting great reviews on it, but I just never considered myself to be an author until about a couple of years ago. And so I never thought about writing a book. And so I was just feeling bad one time, like, gosh, I wish I had already written my book. And Sandra jokingly told me during our conversation, she said, well, no, I'm in my 70s and I have I've only written my first book. So you're way ahead of me. And her saying that really gave me some perspective on kind of where I am in my life cycle. So again, have someone on one side who you can look at yourself as better off. Have someone on the other side who can be a goal or a target. Sandra can be both for me, because she's written a book and she's also written a book at a later age than me. And then finally, the last one is I like to remind myself of my roots, of who I am. And I think about this in a number of contexts. I think about me being my parents, my family who have poured into my life. I think about me owing this to them. Like I owe this opportunity to them. My immediate family, my wife and my two kids, my extended family, my stepmoms, my dad, my siblings, my extended aunts, uncles, everyone, cousins. I look at this and I'm like, I'm a member of the family. Like I owe this success to them. So, and then I think about it from a spiritual way. I think about me being a Christian, and I think about, I owe this to my, if I believe I'm a Christian and I believe that I'm a child of God, then God, has given me certain powers and abilities to do certain things. And even from a humanistic standpoint, if I wasn't a Christian, just as a human being in this time, in this day and age, there are so many opportunities that I have that others did not have. And of course, as a Black man, I think about what my ancestors endured and all those kinds of things. And I think about people like Benjamin Banneker and other great Black successful people, Madam C.J. Walker. I can go down a long list of Black folks who have done extraordinary things under far worse circumstances. And I sometimes will marinate on those things, and I let the constraints on one side, the other side, and the thing that's in front of me all drive me forward. So I hope you can come up with your own constraints. You need someone that you're better off than. Number two, you need someone who is better off than you. And number three, you need someone who or something that reminds you of who you are, that can ground you and that can propel you and pull you forward. So hopefully with those three things, you have your perfect constraint and you'll stay on that straight and narrow path of success that will drive you forward. So good luck. Thanks.